Today, it's finally time for the real Galaxy Ranger to take the spotlight in his post-release, and today, I'm going to present you with the results of his performance. Now, the format will be in the same manner as Robin's post-release, where I will let the pre-release footage play in the background, pause on each section, and present the additional information and findings there. After we have gone through all the data covered in the pre-release, I will also go over the aspects that were not covered in the pre-release. Before we start, I will give you a couple of seconds to get comfortable, grab a beverage, sharpen your pencils, and open your notebooks, as this shooting masterclass is hereby in session.
Come on, let's do this.
First of all, let's start with his skill, which, staying true to his cowboy nature, Boothill challenges an enemy to a proper Wild West duel. While Boothill is in the standoff with his rival, the enemy will be taunted and will take increased damage from Boothill. It is important to note that Boothill himself will also take more damage from the target enemy for the duration of the duel in order to truly have a fair fight. Apart from this, his basic attack will be enhanced during the fight, and once an enemy is defeated, Boothill will also get a stack of his talent, Pocket Trickshot. The first thing to note here is that the 2-turn duration follows the same mechanic as Ruin Maze or Robin's skills, meaning it will lose 1 turn of its duration once Boothill's turn starts. The multiplier for the increased damage taken by the enemy is also decent, and you do not need to worry about the increase in damage for Boothill, as that will be negated by his A4 major trace, which will even turn it into a 15% damage reduction for him instead of the 15% damage increase, so you should unlock this trace as soon as you can. The other thing is related to the part where he cannot generate energy with his skill. This has also been alleviated by his A6 major trace, which will grant him 10 energy each time he gets a pocket trick shot while in the standoff state of the skill. It should also be noted that the talent stacks are gained when he either kills the target of the skill or breaks them. Another important gimmick you should pay attention to is that although he is technically taunted to only deal damage to the skill target until that target is dead, you can partially circumvent this by using his ultimate, as you will be able to target a new enemy with his ultimate, so if you are close to finishing up the enemy, you can easily prepare the stage for the next one with his ultimate. And finally, using his skill will not end his turn, as it counts as an extra action, so don't be afraid to use it when needed. Moving on, his talent, which is related to the pocket trick shot mechanic mentioned previously, every stack of pocket trick shot will increase the enhanced basic attack's toughness reducing damage, stacking up to 3 stacks. This ability makes him a terrifying shield breaking unit, as the amount of shield depletion seen in the live stream is a bit insane, especially if you add Ruin May to the mix. And considering the fact that the physical break is the hardest hitting break damage in the game, this has the potential to make him the hardest hitting unit in the game, especially when you also break the enemy. However, this also acts as a double-edged sword, as his damage might fall off a cliff when you are not breaking the enemy, similar to Jing Liu when she exits her enhanced state. Yeah, the talent analysis has also been pretty much spot on, as he is indeed the break monster he was advertised as. Ruin May is also the best partner you can add to his team, although Harmony TB is a close second, so if you haven't built it already, now is the time. There's nothing much to add here, apart from the multipliers, which are pretty great, especially the enhanced toughness reducing damage at 3 stacks. Let us take a look at his ultimate, which again is perfectly in match with his cowboy theme, as Boothill collects the bounty poster from mid-air and snipes the target with his revolver from, I would assume, at least a mile away. Animation aside, the ultimate also has one key aspect to it. It will apply the physical weakness to the target before it deals a set amount of damage to it, also delaying its action. The weakness implant effectively means that you can bring him to any future encounter, and you can rest assured that he will perform. I believe that, just as Argenti was made with pure fiction in mind, Boothill will also become a staple of the new endgame content announced, Apocalyptic Shadow, thanks to this. What has been confirmed is that the weakness implant is guaranteed, and is not dependent on any stat or chance in particular. Every time you use your ultimate, it will add it to the enemy. Of course, that is if the enemy's weakness bar is not in a locked state. So he will not be the jack of all trades for each scenario, as you may think. The ultimate also comes with an added action delay of 40%, which is very nice as it will allow you to have more time to kill the enemy before it takes action. The low cost of 115 energy will also allow you to keep cycling through his ultimate, as he will get more than enough energy through his enhanced basic attacks. As mentioned previously, the ultimate also allows you to bypass the taunt from his standoff state, so make sure to make it count. This weakness implant is also added to his technique, as the first use of the skill in the battle will also add physical weakness to the enemy, just like the ultimate. There is nothing much to add here except the fact that this technique is much more important than you give it credit for, as the weakness implant provided can allow you to quickly dispose of an initial target and set you up to open with his ultimate for the second target in a quick succession. And finally, his basic, or more appropriately his enhanced basic, will be the main source of his damage. As pointed out previously, it will only be available during the duration of his skill duration, and both its damage and toughness reduction potential are enhanced by his talent. Additionally, as I pointed out already, his enhanced basic will also give you 30 energy when used, which is the amount given usually by using a skill, and what is also important is that this enhanced skill will also not cost any skill points to use, so this means Boothill is a very SP-friendly DPS unit. Although if you kill the enemy too fast with him, you might encounter some skill point issues as you will be forced to constantly use his skill to re-enter the standoff state, so keep that in mind. As a summary of his kit, Boothill appears to be the hardest hitting hunt unit released so far, at least under the right conditions, and that is entirely in his base kit. I don't even want to know what he will do once you unlock his Eidolons or get his light cone. All in all, if you are lacking in the DPS department and also want to prepare for the new end game mode, I can pretty easily say this is the unit for you, but don't quote me if it turns out the new mode is another destruction unit sweep. Well, he is not only the hardest hitting hunt unit, he also took the crown for the highest hitting single target unit currently present in the game as well. But before you get super excited and open the game to roll on him, you should note that he requires a heavy degree of investment in his relics, light cone, and teammates to reach this potential. As I have said earlier, his best partner is Ruin Mei, which is a limited 5-star harmony unit. He also needs an insane amount of break effect from his relics, as well as speed, in order to maximize his A2 major trace, and given the fact that his signature is the only light cone available in the game that will give him the break effect he needs, you are also left out lacking in this department. Also, as he is very dependent on breaking enemies or his DPS will fall off a cliff if the developers decide to throw in more enemies with a weakness bar lock mechanic in MOC, his value will drop significantly compared with a traditional DPS carry, which will be able to dish out damage consistently. But if they don't, you will most likely be drinking saloon buddies for a long time. With the kit out of the way, let's briefly go over his relics, light cones, and potential partners. For relics, as you want to stack on break effect in order to maximize his damage, and of course also try to maintain a good crit ratio, the Thief set will be the best option for him. Apart from this, the Champion set is also a good option, as is the trusty Musketeer set. The Musketeer also gets bonus points for its drip, as it is in theme with his cowboy persona. Some other great options here are the 2-piece combinations between the Thief set and the Messenger or Watchmaker sets. Or additionally, if you have a good set lying around and you are fighting a quantum weak enemy, you can run the Genius set for the additional defense ignore. For Planar sets, Talia will again provide the most break effect and is the preferred choice, but if you don't want to farm it, Rudolent and SSS are also fine choices. Glamith is also a good option, as you will want to get plenty of speed from the relic substats. Speaking of the substats, you should aim to get as much break effect as humanly possible. Seriously, the sky should be the limit, as this is the stat that will affect his damage the most. Try to reach 300% if possible as a benchmark. Apart from this, aim for speed to increase his action count, and to reach the required breakpoints, 145 should be the minimum to aim for. For light cones, obviously, his signature will be the best choice, but apart from that, you can also use the Herta light cone. Sally's light cone is also a decent alternative if you have it. For 4-star options, sword play will be a good option as he has multiple hits with his basic attack, and you also want to kill one enemy at a time so the passive can be maintained permanently. Subscribe for More is also a good option for the extra basic attack damage. And Only Silence Remains will also be a decent pick, especially if the new endgame mode has a lower enemy count for its passive to take effect. Here, there is a fun addition, namely the 3-star light cone, adversarial, as you want break effect and speed the most, and only his signature will provide you that. Adversarial is funny enough to be the second best choice you can currently run with him, as it will provide the most speed out of all the other light cones once you kill an enemy, which should not be hard to trigger. This has to be one of the most surprising side effects of his break playstyle, requiring just 2 stats to maximize. So if you have said 5 copies of this one, you can easily use this one and save the Jades instead of rolling on his signature, especially if you have the required break effect stats from your relics. For teammates, there is one clear winner, Ruan Mei, for all the reasons mentioned previously. As an alternative in the support slot, Bronya is a nice alternative as she will be able to increase his actions with her skill, and considering Boothill doesn't usually have skill point problems, the use of Bronya's skill point should not be a problem. You should pay attention to Bronya's speed being lower than that of Boothill to fully take advantage of this combo. Other options that you can use with him are Pella for the Great Defense down debuff, or even more so Silver Wolf for the same reason, but also for the possibility of enabling the use of Genius Set with him. Other than her, any sustain unit will work, but interestingly enough, I believe Gallagher might be the best choice for him as he can apply the Besotted effect, which will increase all enemies' break damage received, exactly what Boothill wants. Apart from him, both Fu Xuan and Aventurine are close contenders for the added crit rate or crit damage respectively. Huo Huo is also an interesting play if you want to cycle your ultimate faster. In terms of sustain, my analysis was pretty much right on the money, as Gallagher is definitely the best sustain option because of the increased break damage effect he has. In terms of Eidolons, neither of them are needed, but if I were to pick one, I would say his E6 makes the biggest impact on his playstyle, as this one will turn his basic attacks into blast attacks, allowing him to easily deal with AoE scenarios now. And with this, the end of this post-release analysis is here. Let me know if you have already rolled for Boothill, or if you are planning on considering the recent live stream and the 2.3 characters around the corner. And if you did, how have you found him so far? Has he exceeded your expectations, or did you expect more from the first dedicated break DPS unit of the game? Let me know in the comments. I will see you in the next one, but until then, I am Professor Veritas Ratio, and remember, stay smart and sexy.
Remember this. When it's time to shoot, quit yapping.